Here at A Different Look Network, we like to bring attention to certain topics that affect our culture and our community. In this particular show, we want to talk about the prison industrial complex, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry that affects our culture in a very negative way. The history of over-sentencing Black offenders through the prison industrial complex is well documented, driven by a combination of explicit legislative policies and more subtle systemic racial biases within law enforcement, judicial processes, and sentencing guidelines. The consequences continue to ripple through Black communities in the form of entrenched poverty, disenfranchisement, and loss of opportunity. We want to talk about the fact that the prison industrial complex makes billions of dollars by over-sentencing individuals who've committed crimes. Now, not all crimes fall under that category, but certain crimes do. In today's show, we want to bring attention to a case. A young man by the name of Everett Harris was sentenced to 98 years in prison. We'll give him the opportunity to tell his story, what he was charged with, what he was convicted of, and also some of the disadvantages that he faced during his trial, like certain biases that the judge obviously had against him. And you can see that in the way that he was sentenced and also in the way that he dealt with Mr. Harris during the trial. There are examples of people that were convicted of far more heinous crimes that were given a much smaller sentence. Without further ado, let's give Mr. Harris the opportunity to tell his side of the story, and I'll catch you on the other end.
I want you to tell your story, and like I said before, this is important to get the story out. You're fighting for your life, and I want you to be able to tell your story. So your answers are your answers, and I want them to be naturally coming from you.
Okay, my case, it was self-defense. And what happened to me, it could happen to anyone. I did not kidnap no kids at all, no one. I had a boss judge and an ineffective counsel, also overzealous prosecution. And that's what led to my conviction. I did not kidnap anyone.
Okay.
That's what I want the people to know.
Now, do you want to talk about your case in detail to explain it to them so that you can tell people exactly what happened? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I take a deeper dive into that.
Okay, well, go ahead. Tell
Uh,
people your story.
okay, I was dealing with this woman. I was I was with her for years, and she had a boy and a girl who I also helped raise ever since her daughter was like 3 months old, and I believe her son was around 1 year old. I I did I I literally put on the shoes of the father toward these kids, bathed them, fed them, washed them, dropped them off at the daycare, uh, uh, hospitals and everything. You know what I'm saying? And on this day, me and her had a disagreement about saving money. She wanted to open up a joint account, and I wasn't comfortable with that because we wasn't living together. We was no longer living together. And as we was driving on this morning, we had errands. As we was driving, I was driving. She jumped up up out the vehicle on her own and left her kids in the back seat with me. I didn't know what to do. Leave them there unattended or keep them with me, which I did. I called her phone immediately after she exited that vehicle, and her words was, F you, I'm not getting back in that car, and hung the phone up. I called back again, and she hung it up again. Shortly after she answered, I called back numerous times, and I said I'm going to the mall to buy the kids, which is her kids at the time. You know what I'm saying? I was saying, and we were saying our kids. So I was headed at the mall to buy the kids their boots and their winter coat. And around this time, she was had our relationship from her family. So everything that she was doing with me, she was doing behind her family back because her father ran the family. It was his way or no way. So when I drove off in her car, which she knew exactly where I was going to the mall to buy her kids winter coats and boots because of this incident happened in November of 2014. She went home and told her family I took her kids, which I never did. She knew exactly where I was going, exited that vehicle on her own, and said numerous times, I'm not getting back in that car. F you. I told her exactly where I was going. On one of the phone calls, she said, hurry up and buy their stuff because I don't want my family involved. I was headed to the mall, made it in the parking garage, and that's where everything unfolded. I was drugged out the car, and I was beat with hammers, a tool what you bang nails in with. I was beat, and I acted in self-defense. That is the bottom line. I never, ever left with her kids without her knowing where I was going. I never whooped a child. I never did a child wrong. Bottom line. And I was beat with hammers by multiple people, drugged out of a car and beat. And I reacted in self-defense. That's what happened.
Okay. Now, what were you charged with and what were you convicted for, if you want to let the people know that?
I was charged with and convicted of 2 counts of first degree attempt murder, 2 counts of aggravated kidnapping, one uh, vehicle hijacking, and I believe it was one discharge of a firearm, and that all equaled out to 98 years in prison with no murder conviction, no violent history, first time offender, was working a job, I was paying my taxes. That's what I want the people to know.
Now tell me about the judge. You said something about the judge. It went in and out. And do you feel you were over sentenced? I definitely know that you were over sentenced, but I'm going to pose the question like this. Do you feel you were over sentenced? If so, why?
I was over sentenced due to the fact that this entire incident, it took place inside of Harlem and Irving Park Mall garage. Everything happened right then and there in a split second. And this judge ran every single charge wild. If a case carried 6 years to 30 years, he would always say 6 years is inadequate. I'm going to give you 30. 4 years is inadequate. I'm going to give you 15. I was incarcerated with guys who had first-degree murders on police officers, first-degree murders, attempt murders, and was sentenced to 50 years, 60 years. I got literally 98 years in prison. That is a death sentence. 98 years with no murder conviction, no violent history. First time I was over sentenced by that judge, and this judge became my judge after the first judge retired in 2015 of September. Actually, it was September 30th, 2015. This judge who sentenced me became my judge in 2015 of October, and he sentenced me June 2016. 8 months later, this judge didn't know my case because I know he didn't in 8 months because he had his docket, his cases he had to preside over, and the previous judge docket. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And and after he sentenced me to 98 years in prison, at the time it was Kim Fox in office. She moved him off the bench. He is no longer a judge. She moved him off the bench due to racist and biased comments. He is no longer judge now. She moved him off the bench months after he sentenced me. That
Wow.
should speak volumes.
That speaks volumes right there. Now, tell me about the appeal process if you're comfortable with that.
As of right now, my case is no longer in court because I was on my post conviction appeal stage and they shot me down in Supreme Court. Now I need newly discovered evidence to get back into court. And I need new evidence moving forward.
Okay. So let me ask you this. In terms of getting new evidence so that the case can be retried, what are the steps that you have to take to go about to make that happen?
The main thing is what's messed me up is the biggest lie that was told. Kidnapping those kids.
Right.
Because she jumped out the car on Cicero and Chicago Avenue. This is on the west side of Chicago, up in Chicago, Illinois. On Cicero and Chicago Avenue is where she willingly jumped out the vehicle at. And the judge, he said that is when I took her kids, which made it a felony in the midst of committing a felony, he said. So the law is you cannot get a felony in the midst of committing a crime. That's why she lied, and the prosecution charged me with kidnapping is because I would have got my self-defense if it wasn't for that kidnapping charge. So I need an affidavit of one of my victims speaking the truth, or I need someone to come forward who she's speaking with, who she has spoken with about the case. Now, I told my lawyer, and it's the honest truth, in 2015, I was speaking with her while I was in the Cook County Department of Correction on 26th in California.
Okay.
I was in constant contact with her, and she stated over the phone, I had to lie so the police would hurry up and find my car because I was in her car with her kids. I had to lie so the police can hurry up and find my car. I don't have extra money for you to be busting out my windows. That's why I lied and told them you kidnapped my kids. But when I told my lawyer about this, because I went to court with a public defender who sold me out, never fought a case like this here before. Once my family was able to obtain a lawyer, I told him about that phone call, and he procrastinated on getting it, and we didn't know, well, I didn't know how long the jail hold these phone records. So when he finally pursued them, they was no longer. So as of right now, I need an act of God, to really be honest. A good lawyer and an act of God. When I was on my appeal, my private attorney put my public defenders on the stand because her name is Melinda Rosales out of Rolling Meadows Courthouse. She told me not to testify because she said that I had a bad attitude, which I didn't, and she said that the prosecution are going to eat me alive. And if I was to testify, she are going to remove herself off of my case and no longer represent me. When my lawyer put her on the stand during my evidentiary hearing, which is a part of my appeal, she denied that. And the judge found her more reasonable and trustworthy over me, all because I'm a criminal, I'm incarcerated, and she is with them or whatever. When my lawyer put Melinda Rosales on the stand and asked her, did you tell my client if he were to testify that you would no longer represent him? She lied and said no. And the judge, once he heard everything, her side of mine, he chose her over me for being more credible due to she being a professional public defender or whatever. And I'm a convicted felon sitting in his courtroom. That is the bottom line. He found her more credible than me, and he shot down my appeal on that stage right there. This judge name is James, James, N is his middle initial, and his last name is Kara Hollis. Spelling, it is Karahalios. James N. Hollis. That's his name.
Okay.
He was on my okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He was on my case every bit of 8 months and sentenced me to 98 years. There is no way in the world that man do my case. No way.
Right. And so, and he's no longer a judge. Is that correct?
He is no longer a felony judge. He is no longer a judge in the Rolling Meadows. I believe he downtown somewhere. And to make it even more amazing is that during trial, in front of the jury, in front of my family, the prosecution was having a problem with unloading the gun or cocking it back or ejecting the magazine. This judge literally said, give the gun to Mr. Harris. He know how to work it very well. Apparently, it's his gun. He know how to work it. Give it to him. Those are biased comments in front of a jury. He never supposed to say that. His job is to enforce the law. His job is to not make personal and biased comments during a jury trial at all.
And did
He said that.
did they bring that very important point up in your appeal?
No, they did not.
And do you know why they didn't bring that up in your appeal?
I believe whoever the woman was on or the name who will be doing all the typing in the courtrooms, I believe that she edited out a lot of stuff that he said because he made a lot of opinionated, biased comments during my trial. A lot.
Well, to be honest with you, that sounds like a gross injustice in terms of him being biased during your trial, and it seems as though he over sentenced you because of those biases. Now, I want to move. Do you have anything else that you want to say about the case, about the conviction, about the judge, and about the appeal till I move to another area of the interview?
I would I would just like to say that everything self-defense. I hate that they happen. I apologize to my victims. I hate that happen in front of them kids because I still love them kids. I would always have a heart for those kids, especially her daughter. This was never supposed to happen. It was never planned. This is a self-defense. This is self-defense. I've been locked up 11 years. I understand. She was hurt. I was hurt. Her kids, my kids. Her family, my family. Why are we still being punished? I I have a son that is in prison due to me not being there. My fault, man.
No, we with you, fam.
Due to me not being there to guide him to damn man. I didn't want to do all this till shit, man.
We with you, family. Tell your story.
I wasn't there to help guide him, to tell him not to do that, not to do this.
Right.
And he landed in prison now, going through the same thing I'm going through. Everyday chaotic environment. Racist officers. He got 10 years at 85%. He down in Shawnee Correctional Center. This was my first child. I had him young, so we grew up together. This case affecting my life, my growth, my kids, mentally, and every day is a hurt because I'm not there to help my family and help raise my kids and help my grandmother out. That's what I want the people to know. This case is self-defense, man. I hate it happen. Self-defense.
And
And
what you just
and
did.
that's my fault
Go
for
ahead.
all that
Sorry.
emotion stuff. I apologize for that, bro.
No, 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 brother. This is real life. It's had a very profound effect on your life, and there's no way for you to tell the truth without those emotions being evoked. So I understand that 100%, period. Now, basically, what you just did, you answered the personal impact and aspect of the interview with your last statement of how it's affected your family, your son, your grandmother. And I want to move to this point right here. And I want to ask you this in terms of personal impact and your rehabilitation. In what ways has prison affected your personal development, maturity, and growth? Also, what steps have you taken toward your rehabilitation during your time inside? And how has the experience changed your perspective on life, family, community, or your future? If you can break that down for us.
Okay, prison has affected. Prison life hindered my ability to process all this hurt that I'm experiencing from the from my profound loss, which is uh, the job I had. I can't be a father. I cannot be a father to my kids physically, but mentally and emotionally I can. I spent 7 years in a maximum security prison with minimal educational programs. We was locked down 23 hours a day, sometimes all day for weeks, months. So I'm limited to movement. I can't really socialize. Then I'm dealing with racist staff, gang members. It's just aggression every day, all day. And I had to learn very fast, real quick, how to keep my head on a swivel. When I was housed in one of the max uh, penitentiaries, which is Lawrence Correctional Center, I mentored a few young guys, and I also participated in an anger management class.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I did that on my own. I wasn't. Uh, I didn't have to do it. I did it off of self awareness because prison is a very hostile environment, and I just wanted to learn how to enter interact in a positive way. I always had a job, whether it was sweeping or the mopping or emptying the garbage or filling up all these ice buckets or whatever. I just wanted to do my time in a positive manner the best I can, and and just re and just rehabilitating myself in the best way I can with limited movement.
Right. And you definitely have done a good job at that. Now, how has the experience changed your perspective on life, family, community, and your future moving forward?
It's 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 a it's things that people actually take for granted that I no longer do. It's like a good meal.
Right.
I'm so tired of eating noodles that it's a shame. You know what I'm saying? It's just a good laugh. It's hard to laugh. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm richard at my at my loved ones and my family for uh uh escape. You know what I'm saying? I just need to laugh.
Right, right,
And
right.
those are now the things I cherish. And biggest and one of the biggest things that I have gained is perspective, is my sense of purpose in life. And I discovered that everyone should figure out their life mission. Either that's picking up a trade, uh, exploring what you love to do, and just pursuing that, going back to school, whatever it is, but it's just not the street. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I
That's the bottom line.
listen. And that's beautiful. And now that you said that, I want to speak about your message to young people. If you had the opportunity to mentor young people, what message or advice would you give them?
First thing God say though, the Screech is undefeated. The Screech is a illusion and a form of enslavement because once you have that reputation, once you wear that mask on your face, you cannot unveil the real you. You have to continue to be this guy who you are portraying yourself to be. Stay in school, get a trade, make a plan. You see, me, I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
I had a great job, a good job, in which I love because I was finally living the normal life. You know what I'm saying? Waking up at 5 in the morning on the bus stop, getting on the train, swiping the bus card, putting money in the bus machine or whatever. I was working 60 to 68 hours a week, loving it, getting paid weekly, loving it. But I was still hanging out on the block in the same neighborhood with the same guys. If I'm trying to change, there are three phases of change. Number one is start within yourself. Number two is start with your environment. And number three is the guys you hang around. I was still hanging around with the same guys. I was still hanging on the same block, but I'm saying I want to change. How is that possible? So get out the street. Find you something to do. Get a job. Get a trade. and exit the streets in a healthy and safe way. That's what I would literally tell them because a prison is very degrading, chaotic, demoralizing, and you are being told what to do on a daily basis. That is discouraging. That's the bottom line.
Well said, my brother. Well said. You're making me proud, family, and I'm being real with that. Now, I want to move on to the decision making and consequences. Can you describe the moment or short period of time, whether a day or just a few minutes, when decisions were made that changed the course of your life?
Uh, okay, I'm gonna go back to when the female victim who I was in a relationship with at the time first abandoned her kids in the car with me. Uh, I, I wish I would have. I wish I would have made a pivotal decision. Uh, if I would have just called the police and asked them, a woman just abandoned her children in the car with me, what do I do? Because of that day, it changed. That one split second, it changed everything. I had to quickly decide right then and there, do I leave them unattended on the side of the road? Some kids I raised, loved, I cherished them, fed them, bathed them, I clothed them, protected, and provided for them. Or do I take them with me? That one decision, that one thing led up to a long series of events. And now I was arrested, I was convicted, and I was sentenced for me not thinking and calling the police and asking, what do I do with these kids? That's what I wish I could take back. And that's what was that one moment messed up my entire life. And 11 years later, I'm still fighting for my life.
And the fight continues, and you're
Yeah,
never gonna stop.
and the fight continue.
That's it. And this is
And
part
the
of
fight
that
continue.
fight. This is part of that fight. Getting your
One
story
minute
out,
remaining.
getting an opportunity to tell your story to the people, and it's very important. And you're doing a great job at relaying that message. How has that single event shaped the way that you understand conflict, impulse, or consequences today?
First thing I learned about conflict is you have to bring the emotions out of a situation because emotions is nothing but an impulse. You react. It's like a debate, a disagreement. You have to bring the emotions up out of it so that I can better analyze a problem and form on a logical solution. Because if it's emotions, you yelling, I'm yelling, was we just listening for a reply and not an understanding. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
So,
That was a great answer. Go ahead, continue.
so that's how I look at conflict, impulse, and consequences today than I look at it. Than I have looked at it before my incarceration. Is number one, bring the emotions up out of it, and it'll be and and I know for sure it will be a positive outcome.
Okay. Now I want to talk to you, and this ties right into what you just answered. I want to talk about growth and moving forward. Now, we just spoke about conflict resolution. Tell me, what does conflict resolution mean to you now compared to before your incarceration?
Uh, conflict resolution is like it's a thinking man's game, as you ask me. It is life and how I surprise. It is life and how I survive prison. But one thing for sure, we all must. It is mandatory. Take the time and hear the other side of someone else's perspective before uh, just want to always be right. You know what I'm saying? Hear what you got to say. Understand what you got to say. And it's okay to agree to disagree, but it's just not for my gratification of what I want to hear or I want to win, anything in that nature. So to me, it's a thinker's man's game, and I just want to hear your perspective
No,
before I just jump the gate.
no. Listen, I think that's a great answer to that question, and it does show growth. And speaking on growth, how have you worked to move forward emotionally, mentally, and spiritually since your conviction?
Honestly, right, I want to mention my grandmother in this
Yes, sir.
if it's not a problem. My grandmother's name is Josephine Harris. She almost 90 years old, but she moved around like she 50. Uh, Without her, honestly, I think I would be lost because she have been a praying woman, a strong believer of God, a praying warrior man since day one. I pray. I continue to pray from her giving me the knowledge and the strength and the faith and the hope that things will work out as they should. I I try to remain positive despite me being in a negative environment or whatever because in prison everybody want to be tough, everybody want to be this, everybody want to be that, and also I lean on my kids, my son and my daughter for emotional support. And I just try to laugh every now and then and just, man, I read the Bible. I don't always look at the bad, and I believe in God 100%. I, I'm human. You know what I'm saying? I might be a little bit sad or discouraged here and there, but I feel that anybody in my shoes with 98 years in prison would feel this way. But the more that I read that Bible, especially Psalms 91, it is uplifting, encouraging, and inspiring. So I will continue to have faith in God, and I will never lose hope that one of these days I will be free, my name will be clean, and the world will know this is a self-defense case.
Well said, brother. There's no one that can listen to your story without feeling your emotion. That just touched me what you just said about your grandmother and how she prays for you and has created this spiritual um, cushion for you, as so to speak, in terms of something that you can fall back on in your faith and your spirituality. And I'm very, very, very happy, and I want you to continue to use that tutelage that your grandmother and that foundation that she's given you because it's working wonders for you. You sound positive, you sound strong, even though you may sound emotional, but that's a part of what you're going through. Now,
Yeah, that's a.
go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I say I appreciate you and emotional man because of this case, man. I know I might have this. I'm a tough guy. I lift a lot of weights. I got a lot of faith, but at the same time, man, I'm a human, man. I've been locked up 11 years, for real talking. Now, and do I hate to reiterate this, and I'm constantly moving back though. If anybody was being beaten, then there was a sneak attack. What would you have done? You being attacked and drugged out of a car. I was literally drugged out of a car by my pants leg and beat with a hammer. What would anybody have done? I didn't know who it was because it was a sneak attack. You know what I'm saying? I had kids from me. I don't know what's going on, you know?
Right.
This
No.
is a bogus case, man. It's been 11 years. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. And I'm like, everywhere I turn, it's a denial. It's a denial. It's a denial. They shooting down Moses. They shooting down my appeal. Every day my family run out of money. What am I to do? You know what I'm saying?
What you doing
That's
right
why I
now?
say Moses. What am I to do, man? I don't even. Man.
Listen, what you supposed
My
to do,
fault, big
what you're
dog. It's
doing.
my fault.
No, no, no. What you're doing, what you're supposed to do is what you're doing right now. You know what I mean? You're talking about your case. You're bringing attention to it, so that possibly, and we don't know, but we always wish for the best that possibly, someone can hear what you're going through and maybe lend a helping hand or advice on how to move forward. To Now, let me ask you before I ask this other question: do you still have the possibility to appeal again?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Then it ain't over. Did it ain't over now. And I'm gonna continue with the interview because we just got one more section to go through, and we got 10 minutes to do it.
Okay.
I want you to think very. I know you're doing it every day. Think very strategically, and what necessary steps that you have to take so that your next appeal process is effective. And
Is
go ahead.
successful. What was what was the question again? To my fault.
It wasn't a question. I was just telling you something that was on my mind in terms of your appeal.
Oh, okay.
Next time you appeal, and
Yeah.
I want you to every day find out the necessary steps that you have to take for this next appeal to be effective. What didn't work last
Okay.
time? We're not going down that route again. Whatever didn't work last time, let's learn from that. What steps can we make on this next appeal that will make it effective? Take your time, figure it out, and move forward with that. Now, to
Right.
to continue with, and I want you to really focus on what I just said. Now, how do you plan to use your experience to help others, especially young people, to avoid similar mistakes?
You see, first of all, what I'm doing now with you is a good start. A podcast and whatever. But my granny is in a church. My uncle was in a different church. What I want to do is give my testimony because it's a lot of young guys who have now joined these churches. So I would like to go by all of my family, my mother, my granny, my uncle, my friend, and just give my testimony about what I went through and what I've experienced. Also, I would do a social media, and hopefully more interviews will come my way, and I could open up more about my life experience throughout everything I'm going through right now. Because all it takes is a split second and a wrong decision. That's all it takes for one mistake. I'm talking about it take every bit of 3 to 4 seconds to mess around and land 100 years in prison. And I wouldn't want nobody going through this because it's hard. It's have you on a person mental. What I I also learned is that although I'm doing this time physically, I did not know that my mistakes had my family doing time with me, mentally and emotionally. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and now that I know that, so any way that I can, social media, through church, interviews, I would do that because I would want no one else dealing with this. It's rough, it's hard, and it takes a lot, a lot of faith, a lot of strength, a lot of mental. Everything has to come from God, and I appreciate it.
Man, I don't know about no damn stuttering. Excuse my language, but you sounding strong, intelligent, reflective.
And it's hey, it's sad, man. It's touching, man. For real, that's why you could ask, say though, you could ask, man. Though my brother Philip, I hate talking about this, man, because of man, Chris, man. I appreciate you, man, for doing this for me, man. For real, man.
Man, face, man. I'm
Them people
happy to
gave me
do
the 98 years for a self-defense case, man. For real.
it. Just to
And
be perfect, go ahead, finish. Go ahead. Get your thought out. Go ahead.
it it be beat me. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to bring what I'm going through to my people's over the phone because I'm not a selfish guy. I know the fool out there, the world, all the messed up and things of that nature. So, I laugh and joke to escape. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Try to live life through them. I don't like to do this, what I'm doing right now. But,
it's
yeah, man, I just
necessary.
appreciate you, man.
Man, listen, man. If I can bring attention to your story, I want people to understand that you are a human being and that 11 years that you've spent behind bars, in my opinion, has rehabilitated you and you're ready to move forward. I love the way that you just reflected on your growth mentally, spiritually, and what being incarcerated has done not only to you and to your family. I want to ask you this in terms of reflection. What has been the most difficult part of your incarceration and what has helped you endure those difficulties?
Man, I got four kids, three boys and a girl. That's the most difficult part of this is not being there with them and learning the news about my oldest son. I just recently mentioned being incarcerated. That phone call tore me apart. Hearing the charges that my son was facing and the prayers from my uncle Andrew, my mother, my father, my grandmother, both of them, my uncle Frank helped me endure. And I know for sure they keep me in their prayers on a daily basis. I had churches who hold a prayer service and mention my name.
That's
That's
beautiful.
what's helping me endure this. My family and prayer. Yeah, that should be
Powerful,
touching me,
man.
Chris, man, for real, man. These people knelt me, man. I got 100 years. My sister running out of money. You know what I'm saying, though? That's why she opened up a daycare center to right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To me and my son and this shit. And then to my youngest son, he up in the high school. He 14 years old. He's 6'4". He in school and everything, and he being looked at back for the colleges already.
Wow.
Literally already. He just had a fucking invitation to Wisconsin University and my cat, and he's a freshman. He up in all those AAUs. He up in the Nike. He be hooping in the Nike tournament and everything. He trying to get up into the EBYA, is it like that?
Right.
Euro, the basketball, the youth league or whatever.
Uh huh.
Shorty could hoop. He real good. He's super dedicated. He a honor roll student, honor class and everything. His father, mother is brilliant, very smart. My son have a bright future, and it hurt me that I'm not part of none of that. You know what I'm saying? I motivate him and uplift him over the phone. You know what I'm saying? I have to raise him mentally. He came down here last month and literally broke down on my shoulder. When I left, he was 3 years old. He's now 14, about to be 15 years old, April 28th, 3 days after Field's birthday.
Last question, family, and because I know it's about to cut off. What do you want society to understand about people who are incarcerated?
Man, I know that it's a bad image on the guys who are incarcerated, but honestly, out of these 11 years, there are some good guys who live in prison, and there's far too many. It's a lot that are actually innocent, and their voices need to be heard. The same way that man is being heard now, and I appreciate you again, Chris, for this opportunity. But if these guys were
1 minute remaining.
was to be heard and given another chance at liberty, they will have a productive life and be a good member of society out there. Everybody in this prison system is not guilty, and that is a fact. And that is a fact. That's what I want them to know about people who are incarcerated.
When you take a look at this case, it's clear to see that the judge was unethical and the judge was biased. And you can also see clearly that the prosecution was overzealous in the way that they charged Everett. Mr. Harris has an opportunity not only to rehabilitate his life, but to send a message to the youth and to people in general about conflict resolution. Being able to set aside your emotions when you're faced with a situation like this so that you can make a better decision, so that the decision that you make doesn't cost you your life. My message to the youth is we can't put ourselves in a position where people can take advantage of us. This system is set up so that you can and will be over sentenced, so that they can keep these prisons occupied. Let's hope that this video will bring light to this case and other cases that are similar to this case. We have to understand that these brothers are human beings. They have friends and families that love them and that want to see them again. This brother wants to be in his son's life. He wants to be able to show his son, not only has he been rehabilitated, he wants to be able to be there to give this young man the support that he needs. So it's imperative that we just don't throw these brothers away. When you get a 98-year sentence, the judge is basically just throwing you in prison for the rest of your life. And then people feel as though that these brothers don't mean anything to society. They do mean something to society. They have made mistakes. Some of them have made mistakes that they can't come back from. But in this particular case, this brother has an opportunity not only to come back from this, but to use this moment in time that changed his life as an example of what not to do, as an example of how you need to focus on conflict resolution when you're faced with situations like this. This is an opportunity for people to learn, a teaching moment. He wants to send a message to the youth so that they don't make the same mistake that he made. This is an opportunity to shed light on men and women that are in prison so that people understand that these are human beings, that people do care about you. You're not in this alone. And hopefully with your appeal, this case can be retried and your sentence can be reduced so that you can come home and be a part of your son's life, so that you can come home and be with your friends and family again. because you shouldn't be served a death sentence because you made a mistake that day. 98 years is unacceptable. Over sentencing needs to stop. If you commit a crime and you're convicted, you should be given time. But that time shouldn't be a death sentence if your case does not equate to that level of punishment. And in this particular case, I don't feel as though 98 years is a fair sentence. Be very careful about the decisions that you make because your life can be taken from you in a blink of an eye. And like we always say, let's change the narrative and refocus the optics. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you on the next one.